Information is power.
Tell the truth.
I just need a moment to give a little more, to feel a little more before I open my eyes. It feels like I was chosen to give a little more.
Tell the truth.
To feel a little more before I open my eyes. I just took the red pill. I've been moving different when they see me, watch they hate till. If I don't get it, then
tell the truth.
They ain't checking on a nigga, no more running on the treadmill. Please don't trip. Please get a grip, yeah. I ain't scared to commit, yeah. I ain't scared to commit, yeah. I just need a moment to give a little more, to feel a little more before
What's up, everybody? This is Prime Sports Media. I'm your host, Information Man. I'm a YouTuber, and I have a variety of different YouTube channels. This is a brand new sports channel, and over here, primarily what I'll be focusing on is a lot of issues around sports, like this situation with Damar Hamlin, along with the situation and the controversy that's going on between Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. I also will be focusing on issues around Deion Sanders, Coach Primetime, and his journey from Jackson State to Colorado as well. So I'll be doing a lot of heavy content around Deion, his sons, around that journey, but also touching on these kind of issues right here, whether it be football, soccer, basketball, what have you. Now, I want to put this young man's picture back up here because I want to make some statements here. I am so glad that people have put prayers on this young man, have been putting blessings on this young man, Damar Hamlin. Everything that happened that night was very unfortunate. This was something that nobody was expecting. It was a sad situation, a very disappointing situation that this happened to this young man. But let me give you some updates. I mean, I know a lot of you have probably heard about these updates earlier today, but Buffalo safety Damar Hamlin has made some progress in this situation. And I want to definitely bring that up. Now, on Thursday, as I'm reading here on Thursday, doctors were saying that the player had neurological conditions and functionings are all intact. So as of right now, his neurological abilities are intact, which means he doesn't have any brain damage. They said today he was able to communicate by writing, in which he made the statements that he wanted to know who won the game between his team, the Buffalo Bills, and the Cincinnati Bengals. His mother had really good things to say about his progress. The player, Damar Hamlin, is demonstrating signs of good neurological recovery as well as overall clinical improvement at UC Health. Dr. William Knight told reporters today. It's still a long road to recovery. Doctors emphasized multiple times that Hamlin has a way to go. He'll need to start breathing on his own, and taking him off of the ventilator will be a crucial gradual process. UC Health Dr. Timothy Pitts said it is too soon to say or for sure whether he'll make a full recovery. This is what was also reported about Damar Hamlin today. Hamlin was seen interacting with his family, loved ones, and Hamlin, besides having been able to hold his hand and communicate with him, of course, not by him talking, but by writing, through him writing messages, he asked, I'm going to say this again, he asked the question, did the Bills win the game? Now, the cause, as we have learned from doctors, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get to the whole issue with Skip Bayless and Shannon in just a moment, but I think it's important to give this update. You're listening to Prime Sports Media, new YouTube channel. I'll be getting into these type of issues around sports. I usually do social commentary on my show, The Information Man Show. That's my bigger channel. This is a brand new channel, and I appreciate everyone that's listening live on YouTube, as well as I'm broadcasting live into Twitter right now. I want to say appreciate all of you out there, and I'll give you a most respectful clap. The cause of his cardiac arrest is not yet clear. So we all know that when he was in the game making this tackle right here, that somehow I don't know all the details, but it appears as if he got a thumping into his chest area. Maybe when he made this tackle, his opponent's helmet might have went into the chest, and it might have just hit the heart. It was a freak situation, they said. It might have hit the heart at a certain time where it threw off the rhythm of his heart. And of course, we know that he got up for just that brief moment, and then he fell down, and because he wasn't getting blood to the brain, obviously. And of course, as we already know, just giving this in summary before I get to the really interesting stuff, the heat between Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe, that's coming very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. So you see people surrounding Hamlin there, and that was the most important thing the whole night, was his health. Players did not feel like playing this game. We saw football players on the field that were crying, that were in dismay as to what was happening to their teammate. As you see, once again, Hamlin here getting ready to make his tackle. And nobody was expecting this. Now, we already know that controlled violence is part of football. But the point is, a man was struggling for his life, struggling to live, and that's the most important thing to focus on. Not like Skip Bayless, turning around, focusing on whether the games, is this a crucial time for the game to be ending with so much on the line for the playoff? That doesn't matter. What matters is this young man's health. Now, of course, we know he played his collegiate football at Pitt. He was, I believe, a 6th-round pick, and he had been doing pretty well with Buffalo, getting a chance to play. So let's keep this brother in our hearts and our mind. Now, I'm going to read this to you. The doctors said that tests are still underway to determine what caused the medical emergency, that there are no definite answers at this time. There is outpouring of support. Doctors are thanking the community and members for holding visuals, sending food to the hospital, lighting candles in Cincinnati and the Bills, red and blue. Doctors are saying Hamlin's off the ventilator will be a gradual process. If he gets off that ventilator, we're talking about he can make some progress, according to doctors. Not according to me. This is according to doctors. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin still has a way to go in his recovery, according to the doctors. There are many, many steps still ahead of him from the standpoint we would like to see him continue to improve, to completely breathe on his own, and to be ready to be discharged from the hospital. The University of Cincinnati Health Dr. Timothy Pitt said that today. That's what we have. So I'm just trying to put some things in perspective, as well as this young man has a charity. There's been a lot of NFL owners and very well-wishers and a lot of people that are donating to his I think he has a I hate to say that word charity, but he has a foundation where he is helping young kids. You see him there with a kid right there, a young man right there who's happy to have that toy in his hand. And that's what it's about, giving back to the community, and helping out. Once again, you're listening to Prime Sports Media, and I appreciate you all out there listening. I really appreciate that. But what I'm going to get into tonight, I'm going to do this very methodically, step by step, because we know that Skip Bayless made statements in his Twitter that he's trying to take back right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put this up here on the screen for you. You're listening to Prime Media Sports. I've been changing the name a little bit on the channel because I'm trying to get the right, what they call branding. And I think that sounds really great. The Prime Sports Media is the right branding for this channel. Now, and if you are listening to me out there in Twitter, do me a favor. You can click into the link on this Twitter page as well, on the Twitter page, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, as I'm going to be loading this channel up with lots of content around sports and primarily around Deion Sanders, Coach Prime at Colorado. You see Skip Bayless right there. This is the tweet in question that everybody has been talking about all over the Twitter streets, all over the social media streets. And of course, we know that Skip Bayless said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how this late in the season, a game of this magnitude is critical to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Now, he tries to clean it up with that bullshit at the bottom of this called the irrelevancy, but he got caught in his nonsense, and people weren't feeling Skip Bayless's tweets. And of course, he tried to clean it up on the Undisputed the other day. I think it was on Monday. And of course, we know that Shannon Sharpe was not there. There was a lot of speculation as to whether Shannon didn't show up because he just couldn't stand to sit there with Skip Bayless after he made those goofy tweets, those irresponsible tweets. And Shannon came back on the show, I believe, on Wednesday. Skip Bayless went live on Tuesday. Let me get my days right. On Tuesday, and Shannon came on there Wednesday and tried to do a monologue. And of course, Skip Bayless, being the rude man he is, cut him off. Now, I was listening because I think he's a man, I tell you, I was listening to Jason Woodlock, and I didn't like his commentary because he kept saying, well, Shannon Sharpe knows that the Undisputed is a debate show. And he tried to get into this, calling Shannon Sharpe a beta male. He's being soft. No, brother, Shannon Sharpe has been taking enough of Skip Bayless's BS. He already tried to clown Shannon Sharpe when Shannon Sharpe gives his critiques, as you already know, about the poor play of one Tom Brady. And Skip Bayless has this fanboy, this love affair for Skip Bayless. Let me get my tunes turned up here now. Skip Bayless has this love affair for Tom Brady. And whenever someone, in particular, Shannon Sharpe, has an opinion about Tom Brady, he makes all sorts of excuses. And in one instance, he said that Tom Brady was more of a winner than you, Shannon Sharpe. Questioning Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe, a man who's a 3-time Super Bowl winner. You see him here with Bayless. But let's look at this man's credentials. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2 times with the Denver Broncos. He won a championship with the Ravens when they had that cold-blooded defense with Ray Lewis that led them all the way to the Super Bowl. and he's a Hall of Famer. He also played with Deion Sanders for a short moment when Deion was with the Ravens. That's his buddy Deion. He interviewed him recently around his move to Colorado. That was a great interview. Deion was very candid. So we're not looking at a man who's jumped off a banana, off a banana truck, a man who has no credentials, a man who's never played the game, like Skip Bayless, who's never played the game. Skip Bayless probably barely can dribble a basketball, probably barely didn't even play high school sports. But he talks as if he was a Hall of Famer himself. So he has this propensity to always defend Tom Brady. And I bet you, ladies and gentlemen, and many people out there are thinking these same issues, that if this was Tom Brady laid out on the football field, fighting for every inch of his life, I just wonder if Skip, because I haven't heard anyone say this so far, I just wonder if Skip Bayless would have made those type of tweets because of his propensity and enjoyment that he has, and fanboyism he has for, I would say, Tom Brady. And I have to say this because this is just a reality. I often wonder, is there any value and respect for black life? We know it's football. People sign up for it. They go out there. He calls it gladiator sports. But I really wonder if what happened to Brother Hammond and the way Skip Bayless tried to give his analysis of it, I wonder if it still harkens back to the fact that we live in a country where black life has no value. Just get back up and play, man. Let's get the game going. Everyone's concerned about their fantasy numbers. Everyone's concerned about, well, my team has got to get to the Super Bowl, but we got a man, Damar Hamlin, who's fighting for his life. His family is concerned about his life. That could be your son, that could be your nephew, that could be your brother on the field, that could be your father on the field, struggling for life like this young man was struggling. Just as you see right here. He was struggling for life, and he's still struggling right now as I speak, even though he's made some improvement, but it's still critical for him to be able to breathe on his own, as I've read to you. Skip Bayless, to me, showed a lack of sensitivity and empathy. He's been in the game for over 40 years, reporting on sports, claiming that he used to write on the Dallas Cowboys. He used to follow that team back in the 70s. Although I think the one problem I have with the Undisputed is that it seems like it's a fanboy show for the Dallas Cowboys. Everything is about the Dallas Cowboys on the show, even though Dallas hasn't won anything since a lot of you were probably in junior high school. But every time he goes live, they're constantly, him and Shannon are always talking about the Cowboys as if they're the only football team in the universe. And I know that most of this is being pushed by Skip Bayless. So we know that Shannon Sharpe came back just yesterday. Let me get my days right. This incident happened on Monday Night Football. Skip Bayless did his opening dialogue like this on Tuesday. Let me just give you a little taste of that nonsense from Skip Bayless.
With a game of this magnitude, it's very difficult to postpone it. Yet the end of my tweet was, all of which suddenly seems so irrelevant. for the first time in the history of the NFL. My point was, it was all rendered irrelevant by what was happening on the football field in front of all those football players, those gladiators, those warriors. They were shaken to their foundations. So I immediately retweet, I just clarified. And I'll state it
so
again.
you can see Skip Bayless is focusing on their gladiators. None of that stuff matters. What Skip was doing, as I had mentioned before in my first video about this issue, is that Skip Bayless was simply doing damage control because management had gotten contact with him and said that people are throwing you under the bus on Twitter. And if you look at the Twitter feed, you had who's who as football players, athletes, all sorts of who's who in the world of athletics, and just very important people, just everybody. I don't care what your status is. Everybody wrote back to Skip Bayless and said, "You're a sick man." So then Wednesday, when Shannon Sharpe comes back to the show, Shannon has to deal with the BS while he's trying to do his monologue. And I'm going to show you that right now. As I get ready to show you that, let me read this to you. Warning, federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyright motion picture videotapes or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. Fair use. It allows for the purpose of criticism, news reporting, teaching, parody, which does not infringe of the copyright under 17 USC 107. Back to it. Skip Bayless messages were irresponsible, which you see that one here. You see this one right here where he says, "I've seen so many horrific injuries suffering on a football field, yet never have I seen a reaction like this. In every other situation I witnessed or covered, the game always went on fairly quickly. The attitude was, hey, that's football. For these players, this was different." Yeah, it was different, Skip Bayless, because they were watching a teammate. They were watching a colleague, a fellow football player, literally fighting for his life and could have died on the football field. Now, there was a football player that's come out in the history. I think his name slips me right now, but there was a Detroit Lion football player who died of a heart attack on the football field. We're talking about way back in the day. But for these football players today, they weren't used to seeing that. They're used to seeing, well, maybe a guy gets injured, he has some broken bones or a ligament or whatever, a fracture, and they wheel him off in a cart. But in this time, they had to do CPR. They were trying to resuscitate him back. And then there was put out there that he may have lost consciousness not once but twice. They might have had to resuscitate him again in the hospital. I'm going to play that video from his uncle. I'm just laying it all in perspective because Skip Bayless is disgusting. I think Shannon Sharpe and him have been butting heads for a while, and I bet you that Shannon Sharpe at one point in time thought he was a friend, and maybe he doesn't think the same. And maybe Shannon Sharpe has always known that Skip Bayless this is who he is. And maybe all the players know that this is who he is. Now, Jason Woodlock on his podcast, his YouTube podcast, he wanted to make fun of Shannon Sharpe and everyone who's been put criticism on Skip Bayless. So what I'm going to do for him is I'm going to give him this. This is for you, Jason Woodlock. This is for you. Your commentary was despicable. The point is that Shannon was trying to give a respectful monologue why Skip Bayless cut him off rudely, which is what he's been doing on the show. Now, we know it's a debate show, but what Skip Bayless often does on this program is he takes personal shots, just like he does with players. And let me put this up here. So you see another example of them getting into another disagreement. Now, I like debates. Debates are good. It's good for the soul to have different opinions. And you debate people over your different opinions. Nothing wrong with that at all. A different opinion is how we learn and grow. But there's one thing to have a different opinion and another thing to be damn right rude and take personal shots, as Skip Bayless has been doing so more and more. And I don't know if it's because Skip Bayless sees himself as superior. You know, people don't like us to talk about racial stuff, but maybe Skip Bayless is one of those white men who thinks he's superior to not only Skip Bayless, but to black men in general. Who knows? Because oftentimes he's harsh in his critique as it relates to black athletes, but he gives Tom Brady and anybody that he particularly cares for, he gives them a pass. He will throw personal shots instead of just focusing on the game and critiquing whether they're playing good or not. He likes to get into personal shots. There's been, I think, even when he was hosting First Takes with Stephen A. Smith, they had some problems. So this is not a new thing with Skip Bayless. This has been a regular behavior from Skip Bayless. Now, let me go ahead and show you this right here, because I thought this was very rude. Once again, this is fair use, fair use, fair use. This is the live clip from the show. And you see how Skip Bayless treats Shannon Sharpe, and you look at his facial and body language as Sharpe is trying to talk and how Skip behaves. Now, Skip said, when Shannon said what he said, that management did not make him give a statement, that management didn't make him go live on air and say something. He's a lie, because I have the actual video and audio footage of him saying exactly what Shannon Sharpe is gonna say in just a moment. Here we go. Right there, he's a lie. Skip Bayless is simply lying to the public, and the truth ain't in him. That means if he's lying right here, and I'm going to show you the lie, then that means everything he did on the show prior to Sharpe being on with him, where he went by live explaining his tweets for a very long time, at the same time saying that he was going to still talk sports. I don't understand why he even had to do that. He got on air and was proceeding to still talk about regular sports, which I thought was disrespectful. I know that that's their job to talk about sports, but I just didn't think that it was in fair taste for Skip to even have talked about other sports after he tries to do his damage control statements, which I don't think were sincere. Personally, he did a lot of because he's acting like he was emotional about talking about Damar Hamlin. But the fact of the matter is, I think it was all for show, because he just lied to Shannon Sharpe and he lied to the public, saying that nobody in management was concerned about what he wrote. That's BS. He said it himself, that they told him to clean some things up. Let's play this back, a little bit of this again.
Even let me finish my opening monologue without interrupting.
Okay, I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No, clearly the bosses wanted you to offer explanation, so clearly.
Boom, he says, clearly the bosses wanted you to give explanation, but this is the arrogance of Skip Bayless. I was under the impression that you weren't going to bring this up. That shows you right there that they do control. This is control what people hear, control what you say. He says, I'm under the impression that you weren't going to talk about this because everybody at here is feeling good about it. Just because everybody at the job feels okay about the tweets, according to Skip Bayless, and I don't even think we can believe him. Why can't Shannon Sharpe have his own opinion? The man played the game of football in the NFL. So, of course, he gonna feel a little bit different about what happened on that field to Damar Hamlin. Of course, he would have a different feeling about it because he played the game. Skip hasn't played the game. So you're going to tell this man, I thought that you weren't going to bring this up because everybody else is cool with it, and he lied about that. Let me bring this back again. Disrespectful in saying Skip wrote something. I personally disagree with it, but I would hope he would take it down. He wasn't screaming at Skip, yelling. He didn't call him out of his name the way many people called him out of his name on social media, particularly on Twitter. He was very respectful. And then, of course, Skip had to play this. I thought you weren't going to bring this up because everybody's cool with it here. Let me play you why Skip is a liar. And let's play this part. A lie on you. Ladies and gentlemen, Skip Bayless is a lie and the truth not in him. Let me show you the video, or a portion of the video that he did the day before Shannon Sharpe came back to the show, and let you hear out of his own mouth that he said that management had an issue about the tweet, saying that he was getting a lot of bad comments about his tweets. So they were basically saying to him, he needs to do some damage control. That's why he got on the show when Shannon was absent from the show that Tuesday. And that's why he started saying all that BS that he was saying to clean up the stuff, because he says out of his mouth, well, I think people misunderstand. See, this is the arrogance of someone like Skip Bayless, that he just felt that people misunderstood. You telling me that over 100,000 to 200,000 to millions of people that wrote tweets back at you, that everybody, all thousands of people in the world misunderstood your tweets? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. But I got the evidence, proof in the pudding, and you're listening to Prime Sports Media.
Tell the truth.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
And then came my third tweet, which I believe was widely misconstrued, misinterpreted.
Once again, fair use for the purpose of educating, parody, evaluating, assessing. This is fair use. Distributing now under federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyright motion pictures for videotapes, video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. For the purpose of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody. Once again, I'll bring this back just a little bit, and here we go.
And then came my third tweet, which I believe was widely misconstrued, misinterpreted.
See, here we go.
I don't follow what's happening on Twitter. I just tweet.
Now, this is the thing that I don't understand, ladies and gentlemen. Why you just tweet, but you don't really follow Twitter? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you be putting out information? I get it, you're a big time sports media personality, Skip, but why would you use Twitter to put out information and say, well, I don't really follow Twitter? You don't follow Twitter, but yet you're on Twitter, using Twitter and putting out tweets. He's a lie. He's lying to you people when he says he don't follow. He know damn well he had thousands upon thousands of people who were making comments negatively about the BS that he distributed with those tweets, or that main tweet. The one right here that we keep talking about, the one in question right there. The one where he says, this late in the season, a game of this magnitude the regular season outcome will certainly seem. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it may not be what you say, but how you say it that rubs people the wrong way. I don't know. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me. I don't know. But let's get back to Skip Bayless. This is where you're going to hear him lying, the lie that he told Shannon and the whole world just the other day.
But my boss here at Fox called and said, hey, people are really reacting strongly to your tweet. Maybe you should clarify.
Boom. He just sat up there and told me and you that none of the bosses said anything to him about it, that they were fine with it. He just said right there that he got a call from management that people did not like his tweets and that he needs to clarify it. But he tells Sharpe that nobody in management had a problem with his tweets. Right here.
Not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanations. So clearly,
no, they did not have.
Here we go.
My boss here at Fox called and said, hey, people are really reacting strongly to your tweet. Maybe you should clarify, which I immediately did. But my first tweet was simply,
ladies and gentlemen,
journalist, I was putting myself in the heads of the NFL executives, starting with Roger Goodell, who are having to.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Skip Bayless is a lie. I'm proving it out. He lied. So if he lied about that, how do we know that his messaging that he gave the day before, which was that Tuesday, was sincere and honest? He lied. He tells Shannon Sharpe that nobody in management was concerned about his tweets and that he was under the impression that Shannon wasn't going to say anything about the tweets. Now we're finding out that was a bold-faced lie. He lied before. This is why he should be fired. He has no credibility. No athlete should want to take an interview with this man. Nobody should pay Skip Bayless no attention. He lied. I'm going to play the proof in the pudding again. Hear this again. You see the nonsense right there? Here we go.
I immediately did. But my first tweet was simply, as a journalist, I was putting myself in the heads of the NFL executives, starting with Roger Goodell, who are having to figure out on the fly what to do here. And I stated the glaringly obvious, which is that no doubt the NFL is considering post.
Let's hear this again where he says about the bosses.
But my boss here at Fox called and said, hey, people are really reacting strongly to your tweet. Maybe you should clarify, which I immediately did. But my first tweet.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field. Not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanations. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bosses wanted him to give an explanation, but he lied and said they did not want him to give an explanation. Once again, right here.
No, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jen.
They did want him to give an explanation.
But my boss here at Fox called and said, hey, people are really reacting strongly to your tweet. Maybe you should clarify, which I immediately did.
Boom. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you've just witnessed, not only visually tonight, wherever you are in the world, tonight, today, the morning, wherever you're in the world, when you watch this YouTube video, you've just seen what your own eyes, your own ears, using your third eye and your third ear, that Skip Bayless lied. He lied and said that nobody in management was concerned about those tweets. He just admitted that they told him to go and clarify, which is why he went live on Tuesday when Shannon Sharpe took absence from the show. For it could be, look, I think that Shannon didn't show up to the show because he was affected and traumatized by seeing what happened to Damar Hamlin. I think that was the clear reason why he didn't show up. But I also personally believe that he didn't show up because he was tired of Skip Bayless's bullcrap. Skip Bayless Day is coming. Matt Barnes, an NBA tweet, reacts as Shannon Sharpe gets disrespected in Damar Hamlin's role. This is crazy. You have just witnessed that Shannon was telling the truth when he said to Skip, it was important because Skip management got involved and said something about your tweets and how they were affecting people's views of you and views of the situation. He says, oh, nobody said anything. And he just turned around and said his bosses called him and told him he needed to clarify, which is why he went live on the Undisputed without Shannon that Tuesday morning. So he is a liar. And the truth ain't in Skip Bayless, which means you can't believe anything else that Skip Bayless has been saying around this issue. You can't take his so-called apology or his statements that he makes like this. You can't really take it seriously.
And I'll state it again, nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if that was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant.
True, that's true. That part is true.
Him, and I will continue to pray for him. That's what I tweeted at the end of the night. I did pray for Damar and his family.
Okay. Skip Bayless says that he prayed for Damar Hamlin and his family, but I've yet to hear anything about him giving a personal apology to the family directly. Everything was about Skip Bayless trying to clean up his handiwork, his dirty work, and then turned around and he crapped all over Shannon Sharpe, who I thought was trying to be eloquent in the way he was explaining his feelings. And I don't think Shannon Sharpe was trying to throw Skip Bayless under the bus. I think he was going to try to make something positive out of this, which is the point is we should be mainly focused on Damar Hamlin. That's the real issue. What happened to him? All the other stuff doesn't matter. Now, I've been listening to sports commentary in the mainstream, and everybody keeps talking about and spending time focusing on how the NFL going to make this right because the two teams are going to play. I don't care. Nobody should care whether they're... Look, we already know that both Buffalo and Cincinnati are playoff-bound teams. The only thing is they got to figure out how to seed these teams. Now, I heard today that they may go by winning percentage if they don't play the game. If they don't end up playing this game between these two teams, then maybe they'll go with which team has the best winning percentage. Then there was some talk on NFL radio today about there being a game in a neutral place. Just a lot of nonsense, in my opinion. The bottom line is both teams are going to be in the playoffs. This is really about seeding. Who gets the second seed, the third seed, or whatever. But they're both going to the playoffs. But everybody's spending so much time focusing on that when you have Damar Hamlin struggling for his life. And as I read the report, they say that right now he is showing positive neurological signs, which means he'll be able to think straight. He'll have certain abilities, meaning he doesn't have any brain damage, and he was able to be aware. So that means he's oriented times 3, which means he's oriented hopefully today, place, and time, because he said, did the Bills win the game? So that means he's oriented, which is a good sign. But they got to get him off the ventilator to be able to, for him to survive and go forward. That's the main concern here that people should have as it relates to this young man. Football is a game. And this is the reason why you've got mothers out here, husbands, wives, fathers, uncles, who are concerned about their kids playing football. The overall damage. And then they were saying today that they may need to consider putting some protective padding in the uniform where the chest needs to be covered. Now, we're going to see how this all comes out in the wash. But you heard it here on this program. Skip Bayless is a liar and the truth isn't in him. I played that back and forth, and you can see for yourself that he is a liar. And the truth is definitely not in Skip Bayless. You're listening to Prime Sports Media. I thank you for listening. Let me also go to this. Remember Terrell Owens, who's had his run-ins with Skip Bayless over the years, with Skip Bayless giving his critiques of T.O., and T.O. has never been fond of it. But T.O. said this is the most despicable tweet ever. I would like to say I'm shocked by this tweet, but quite frankly, I'm not, because of who I've known you to be. Talking about Skip. He's talking about Skip Bayless. I hope you lose your job for you, Skip Bayless, to think the magnitude of the game trumps the life of a player is inhumane. I hope Shannon Sharpe 84 puts this in a better perspective for you, since you continue to say the most unimaginable stuff out of your radical mouth. There has to be some major consequences, implications to this irresponsible ass tweet. You're a lowlife. This is from T.O. himself. T.O., who played for my 49ers, my favorite team. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles in that Super Bowl some years back. He played with Seattle for a short time. I want to say he played with Buffalo at one time as well. I want to say. But let me let you hear, and I want to say shout out to the association, Around the Association. I got this clip from Around the Association, which is a YouTube channel as well. Brother does really good content, so I want to shout Around the Association out right now. But let me give you a little taste of what T.O. was saying in breaking down how he felt about what Skip Bayless did with his irresponsible tweet, and the way he tweeted it was so irresponsible. And let's hear it right now.
You know what I mean? So my thing is, I didn't do it for I was just bringing some awareness to what I saw and what I read. And at the end of the day, it literally said he simply questioned how the NFL could cancel a game of this magnitude, right? Being that it could be crucial to the regular season standings or outcome. And then he slid in the part at the end, which seemed so irrelevant. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, that's how I interpreted it, and I think a lot of other people interpreted it that way too. Then I could see on the flip side how it could mean something else, and just because you read at the end that he said irrelevant, that it just discounted what he said in between there. So my thing is, okay, you how? What do you mean? So you
all right. And that is T.O. breaking it down, giving his opinions about how he feels about this situation. Let me also give you Stephen Steven Jackson, who is an ex-NBA player, very outspoken brother, speaks his mind. He has never been fond of Skip Bayless. He has some choice words for Skip Bayless, and it's been ticking on my ticker below. But let me put this up here right now. Let me let you know what Steven Jackson has been talking about as it relates to this situation. He's not happy. Steven Jackson has choice words for Skip Bayless. On Monday, December the 2nd, the Big Three co-captain tweet that he wanted to slap. Oh my God, he wants to slap him.
Tell the truth.
He says that he wants to slap the reporter analysis for his seemingly insensitive comments regarding Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin, who collapsed on the field after being hit in the chest during a Monday Night Football game against the Cincinnati Bengals. The former New Jersey Net player took to Twitter expressing his disdain for the commentary and insisted that this was more than a game. The outspoken podcast host added that the conversation should be focused on the 24-year-old's life, in this case, Damar Hamlin, on his life and not on the Bills' playoff implication. As we know, Shannon Sharpe was absent from Undisputed. Skip Bayless apologized to viewers. Yeah, I didn't see it as a real apology. I see it as damage control again. So this is the way the brother felt. You see Steven Jackson on the screen to the left side of the picture right now. Now let me play you. I played this on my other video, but this is what Steven Jackson had to say. And now I clipped this. In the beginning, he really was trying to say that if this was someone like Tom Brady, who Skip Bayless just loves, Tom Brady can do no wrong in his eyes, that he would not have talked in the way he did, or he would not have tweeted in the way he did, should I be correct here. But let's hear from Steven Jackson right now.
You chose your words wisely. Somebody that's been in journalism for over 40 years knows exactly what to say and how to say it. We ain't talking about an athlete that went into journalism. We talking about somebody that's been in journalism their whole life. He never was an athlete. Not once was he an athlete. So journalism is his thing, just like basketball is my thing. He knows what he's saying and when he's saying it. He's not getting no pass for this. But now everybody on his ass, now you want to come with a lame ass apology. And don't come on TV and say, we can't be insensitive to the situation. You wrote that tweet.
That's what he's saying. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Steven Jackson giving his utmost opinions about the situation. Everybody out there, if you're listening to the program and you like what you're hearing, you like how I'm running this particular channel, go ahead and do me the biggest favor, which would be, thank you for watching, first of all. Like and comment on the YouTube version of this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube right now, come on over, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you're watching out there on Twitter, all you gotta do is go to the top of my Twitter page, of this page, click the link that'll take you straight to the YouTube channel, and you can subscribe. I really appreciate that. We'll love you to join what we're doing over here on Prime Sports Media. Really appreciate that. So definitely go ahead and do that if you can. Wow. Look, I'm not promoting violence over here. I don't want to see anybody hurt anybody, but I think a lot of what Steven Jackson is saying comes out of anger, frustration, because he's also had his issues with Skip Bayless as well. A lot of athletes have had their feelings about him. Let me bring up this once again. Remember, I brought up this particular news clipping where Skip Bayless Day is coming. Matt Barnes, an NBA tweet reaction as Shannon Sharpe gets disrespected in the Damar Hamlin role. Now look, this is what I'm going to play you right now. Once again, this is fair use, fair use, fair use. This is for the purpose of educating, parody, but under fair use, you can play these things. Let me give you Matt Barnes. And Matt Barnes, should I say, had some very candid things to say about Skip Bayless. And once again, I don't promote violence, but he said that he believes that something's going to happen to Skip Bayless one day, that someone's going to go off on him. And I don't want to, once again, I'm not promoting violence. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get punched or attacked or assaulted in any kind of way. But I think what Matt Barnes is saying has some ring of truth to it, because one day Skip Bayless is going to say something about the wrong person, and they may not have the composure and the calmness to keep their hands from putting their hands on him. And we don't want to see violence. That's the bottom line. But let's hear the candid statements from Matt Barnes right now.
Skip Bayless situation, because I wanted to see if he had any remorse after what he said Monday. And, you know, obviously what he said, first of all, Skip is a professional in this realm, was very highly respected, and it's put in years of work. So, you know, when people say, you know, read the whole tweet, he said the game was irrelevant. He knew he had to put that at the end of the bullshit he was saying, hoping that we didn't see through the bullshit. Because how he truly felt was his...
Now, I think that he's 100% right when he says that he put the irrelevant part at the end of his tweet to sort of disguise the bullshit. I have to agree with him. Let's put that back up there again. So once again, we know that Skip Bayless said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude critical to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Now, what Matt Barnes is saying, he makes a very good point there when he says that, because of the fact that I really believe that this whole situation with Skip Bayless was damage control. I think the whole thing from start to finish was damage control, because I just proved tonight on this video that he lied to the public on Wednesday when he told Shannon Sharpe that the bosses at the job did not want him to clarify some things about those tweets. And I just played the video where he lied to Shannon Sharpe and everybody, but then the day before he admitted that the bosses wanted him to clarify some things about those tweets. He admitted it right here.
But my boss here at Fox called and said, hey, people are really reacting strongly to your tweet. Maybe you should clarify, which I immediately did. But my first
you
tweet
see,
was simple.
But he lied to Shannon Sharpe in the public, thousands of you listening to him. This is why Matt Barnes is saying what he's saying as well. Let's go back to Matt Barnes.
Irrelevant. He knew he had to put that at the end of the bullshit he was saying, hoping
Right.
we didn't see through the bullshit. Because how he truly felt was his original first sentence, that how can they even cancel this? There's too much of them. That's how he really felt. But he's very intelligent, and he knew that if he put, you know, somehow this game seems irrelevant now, that some people wouldn't see through his bullshit and arrogance and blatant disrespect for Damar. Fast forward that, I just feel of late he's been very, very, very disrespectful and out of pocket, and that's normal, but he's been that way to Shannon. And you can see Shannon bite his tongue. You can see him, you know, do deep breaths from not jumping across that table and wringing that man's neck. But I think Skip's day is coming. And it may not be from a firing standpoint, because, you know, we know white men in this profession can kind of get away.
This is where he's going to say that his day is coming, not from a firing, because, you know, he's going to say some things about, you know, how society works. Some people get fired. Some people don't get fired, depending on the paint job you got. But what he says that I think is interesting is that he doesn't think it's going to come from a firing. He feels, again, that Skip is going to piss off the wrong person and something could possibly happen. Once again, I'm not endorsing should I say, I'm not endorsing violence to anyone. I don't want to see harm come to anyone. But this is a prediction that Matt Barnes, former NBA player, I think he played with the Sacramento Kings. I think he lives in Sacramento maybe, or LA. He played with the Warriors for a short time. He played his college basketball at UCLA. I just think that his prediction has some truth to it, because there's some people out there who just ain't gonna take, ain't gonna take it. And they may not be able to have control of their emotions, you see. But we don't want to see violence happen. But let's get back to it.
Not be from a firing standpoint, because, we know white men in this profession can kind of get away and do with, what they want. Just is what it is. And it makes good TV. Remember, controversy sells. So, of course, Fox
centered around prime time, Coach Prime Time, and what he's doing at Colorado. What is situation? All right. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think I had something coming in. I don't know what it is that was coming in there. But let me go back to that. Maybe let me go back to that. I think I had some other stuff coming through there. Suns are doing in their career, so we'll be covering. Okay. So that's what Matt Barnes had to say. Let me make sure I have something. I want to make sure I have something cut off here, and because I should not be having other audio coming through. Okay, let me see if this will be covering not only things around Deion Sanders, but we'll be covering issues like the one I'm going to get into this evening. Okay, so I'm gonna end that right there, because I think I'm getting some other sound that's coming into the system, and I don't know why that's coming into the system like that. But I want to thank you for listening to the program. Definitely subscribe to the program. But one other thing I want to put up. I want to put this up right here. This is Shannon Sharpe's. This is right off of his Twitter. And after that whole situation with Skip disrespecting him, his brother wrote to him. And he says, and this is Sterling Sharpe. His brother is Sterling Sharpe, who also played in the NFL. I believe Sterling Sharpe was a tight end with our receiver, or he was a receiver with the Green Bay Packers. And he said this: my brother just sent this to me. He does not show or share a lot of emotions with me. This is Shannon Sharpe saying this about his brother Sterling Sharpe. Over the last months, he sent me more text messages and voice messages than ever before. And this is what he wrote to him. He says here, this is his brother writing to Shannon Sharpe. I am so proud of the person you have become. You do not pick or choose the stand you take. You take them all. Barney Mary, Joe Tipton, as well as Miss Key, will give you a standing ovation. Shannon, you are truly a special man. Now, I believe that this is Barney Mary Joe Tatum. Let me say that name right. Barney Mary Joe Tatum, as well as Miss Key, will give you a standing ovation. Shannon, you are truly a special man. So this must be his mother, maybe his grandmother, his father and mother, his family are saying that they're proud of him, the stands that he takes. And I want to give Shannon Sharpe a clap as well. There's nothing wrong with that. And here he is with Prime Time, Deion Sanders. And once again, this channel will be covering a lot of content, social media content around this man, Deion Sanders' journey as Coach Prime at Colorado. We'll see how it all works out, how it all comes out in the wash. This channel is a channel that will focus heavily on content around Deion Sanders, but also other types of content just like this that you're seeing right here, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the most important thing is that, and I'm going to say this, the most important thing is that Damar Hamlin recovers, has a strong recovery. His neurological factors are working well. Let me break this down again. Neurologically, he is doing very well at this time. Hamlin has made substantial progress. The player is demonstrating signs of good neurological recovery as well as overall clinical improvement, UC Health Dr. William Knight told reporters. He did write, not talking but writing and saying, hey, did the Bills win? This is very good. The goal that the doctor said, I'm going to leave you with this, is that they want to get him off the ventilator gradual progress. So this is a good sign for this brother. Make sure you continue putting him in your prayers and wish him and his family nothing but the best and wish him a speedy recovery. It's not about football anymore. It's about this young man you see on the screen recovering and being able to have a full life. That is what's more important than what Skip Bayless put out there in his focus about football and how, well, usually they don't take this long. They usually let the players continue playing football. We're not living in time and day anymore. See, the problem, I have to be honest, the problem with Skip Bayless is that he's a dinosaur. And it is true, back in his day, they would just cart the player off or get the ambulance to take them off and continue playing. So Skip Bayless is a victim of his generation. He's a victim of his own dinosaurism, if that's even a word. He's a victim of his own arrogance. And as I showed you again, he lied. He told Shannon that management didn't have a problem with his tweets, but yet it was management that told him to go out there and make an explanation about his tweets, which is why he went live on Tuesday doing damage control. I really feel that Skip Bayless is a problem. And I agree with Matt Barnes. Somebody is going to harm him when he meets the wrong person who's not going to take his lip. And again, we don't want to see violence. I'm not promoting violence, but we're promoting reality. And let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's see. My prediction is, how long is the Undisputed channel program, not channel, but program? How long is it going to last? Will Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless eventually break up as a tandem? Will Skip have a new person on the show? Because we already know that him and Stephen A. Smith were having interpersonal problems as well. And that Skip has a habit of burning bridges. We can go all the way back to when Skip Bayless was first introduced to us on Cold Pizza on ESPN. And even on Cold Pizza, he burned some bridges. You see. But this is another question. Could Skip Bayless carry a show by himself and get high ratings? Or is it that he needs to have someone like an ex-football player, like someone like Shannon Sharpe or someone like a Stephen A. Smith? Seems like he needs brothers to do the show with him to keep that show afloat, because if he just does a show by himself, ain't nobody watching. Or at least he's not going to get the same type of views or same type of rating. Let me say ratings. So, folks, thank you again. This is Prime Sports Media. I wish that Damar Hamlin, I want him to get well. Brother Hamlin to get well. Damar to get well. I want his family to be blessed. I want nothing but longevity for this young man. Football, what the question about whether he'll have a football career, that ain't important. That's why I'm not even going to go down that road. It ain't important. What's important is that he has longevity in life and he's able to be with his family and talk and hug his family. They can hug him, be close. And he comes out of this a better man from knowing that he has people that show him love. And I want to say peace to the Buffalo Bills players, the Buffalo Bill fans, the Cincinnati fans as well, because they were a class act. They all said that they knew that the game could not go on. Why? Skip Bayless is giving us lies and explanation just for damage control. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. This is a new channel. I'll be coming back with hard-hitting sports-related podcasts like this. I thank you all out there. Thank you. I really appreciate you all. Peace, everybody. I'm about to get on out of here and do my thing. I appreciate all of you out there. Subscribe to the show, and I'll see you very soon. This is Prime Sports Media. I'm your host, Information Man, and this is my sports channel. I've got other channels, but this is the sports channel. Come on over here and check it out. And I'm putting out that content, and I will be putting out a lot of Deion Sanders related content as the coach of Colorado. Thank you, everybody. Peace.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.